Hello, welcome Solex Nation. Kai said that I'm not allowed to tell you that we have a fun call today because he said we always have a fun call.
We always have a fun call. But
you
already said we're going to have a fun call tonight.
I did. But this is a really good one.
This is a really good one.
So we have Dr. Gursky here, and he is the veterinarian who has helped develop PET Scan. So he is here. We also have Dr. Tucker.
Dr. Tucker.
Yes. And then Amber Moseley is another guest that we have today. So
otherwise known as Amber Gold to me.
Amber Gold. So we have a wonderful call today. So we'll get out of your way really fast so we can get to that. We just have a couple of announcements that we have to make.
Yeah, let's start with a big one. You want to give yourself a raise in the month of February, a great month to give yourself a raise. For this month, any enrollment, PC or QLA, instead of the 65% bonus on points, it's 75%. So it's a pretty significant increase. So get out there and take advantage of that and give yourself a well-deserved raise this month.
And that's on the liftoff bonus. So that is
Correct.
The raise. So
good job.
Yeah, so that's the entire month of February. We also have another special this month, and this one is only until Valentine's Day because we're trying to show the love.
Yes, it's a sweet deal. Again, these corny dad jokes that we said last time.
We've got them. We can keep going. Yeah, we can just keep going all night.
Yeah, so for the bulk sucrose pellets or sugar pellets, it is a buy one, get one free. And we've seen many people take advantage of that already. So if you obviously love your Cephi and you love imprinting and you know, or you don't know for that matter, this is a great way to get out there and start adding those frequencies into your life and to those you care about. So,
you know, just as an example, if you've never used these sugar pellets before, I actually imprint them for my kids. Mm-hmm. They love these pellets, but you can imprint any frequency. You can imprint multiple frequencies in them. I think for our youngest daughter, I think we imprinted, I don't remember how many frequencies, maybe 10 to help her with her school day. And they have been very beneficial for her, not only with her anxiety and getting to know, with confidence and getting to know people, but also with her schoolwork. So they have been really beneficial, but you can imprint them and take them for a myriad of issues or
challenges.
Wants.
And I don't chalk up her improvement in grades to the sugar pellets necessarily, but more towards her attitude towards school and what's in front of her. She's doing a much better job because I think she's a little bit more comfortable with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I think the frequencies have a lot to do with that. So anyway, sugar pellets are amazing for printing. All right, and then we had a little contest last week.
We did. If you commented what you liked about last week's call, you were entered into a drawing on the YouTube channel.
Yes,
right?
if you commented on the YouTube channel about what you loved. Now, if you have not checked out last week's call, I want you to, after this is done,
everybody's checked out last week's call. We had so many people.
We did have a lot of views and a ton of comments too.
Yeah, tons of comments. We had to get a bigger bowl.
But wait, before we do the drawing, should we tell them what we're going to give away?
Okay, yeah, because we kind of teased that too. This is something that's new for Dave Discovery, and so we're kind of doing a little bit of a reveal. This is
one thing that's going into your swag bag. Now, just so you know, there are some things in the swag bag that are new products for us. We don't know how many we're going to have in the future, but for sure, if you ordered a swag bag, you're getting these products. But we're going to show you one right now.
Everybody should be using a shaker bottle, especially a Solex branded shaker bottle. But not just that.
That's not the coolest part.
That's not the coolest part.
This is great, right?
This is great, but it needs something maybe Cybin infused shaker ball. How about that? We've made our own Solex branded, it says Solex right there on the side, Cybin infused shaker ball. That means it can be charged. That means it has the negative ion properties. That means you jump it right in with whatever shake you're making, shake it up and get those, just like the water sticks do for water.
Yes.
This is going to do for everything else that you don't want to essentially have to clean up afterwards if you were using your water stick.
That's it right there. Now with the water sticks, you really wouldn't want to put them into a shake, a smoothie, juice, things like that. It'd be harder to clean. This is what you want to use for those sorts of liquids.
Yeah.
This is dishwasher safe. You can wash it with soap and water in the sink if you'd like. And then of course, every 2 weeks, you charge it in the sunlight for an hour, just like you do with your other negative ion products. But this is cool. So
yeah, we're really excited about this.
Yeah, you'll get it like this. And then it's literally, you know, You make your smoothie in here. So one lucky winner is going to get this.
The very first one.
The very first one.
The very first one out. So okay, you do the
drawing.
Yes, you draw.
Okay, I'm going to read the comment. Okay. Suzanne Christofferson. I liked the explanation of the salad and the moment in time of what your body is experiencing. So she's referring to Dr. Tucker's analogy of when you eat lettuce and you the parasites that could have been on the lettuce and just pass through your system, and that's what your scanner can pull up. So if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. So anyway, Suzanne, great job. You are getting the very newest shaker ball.
Yep. Congratulations, Suzanne.
All right, and then we had a lot of people sign someone up this past week, and we're actually going to show a list. We'll put a list on social media of who signed up. But can you tell us who the top enroller was?
The top enroller for this last week was Mark Armstrong. Congratulations, Mark. Well done.
Solex silver coins coming your way.
Welcome to the Legacy Group. I think he's already in the Legacy Group. Welcome again.
Yes.
All right, we got a great call.
We do. We're going to jump into it, and so we're going to turn the time over now to Dr. Kevin Gursky and Amber Moseley.
Okay, everyone, we have Dr. Gursky back, and we have Amber Gold here. We are so happy to have both of you here. Thanks for visiting. They are here because they're recording for Day of Discovery. Those that will be attending, obviously there's some prize information and some amazing stories, more testimonials and specifics about what the PET scan is doing and maybe some of the steps that we're taking to improve it, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's where we're going. But just for tonight, for at least for this call, you guys had a very interesting experience that I think everybody should hear regarding the PET scan. And it was the very day we launched PET scan, back in October.
That's correct, yes.
Tell us what happened. Tell us this really cool story of kind of the proof is in the pudding sort of thing.
Sure. So I don't remember why you were coming to the office or something, but you came to the wellness clinic.
I'm sure it was you demanding that he be there.
I know, as persistent as I am.
Hearing his story last time, your persistence pays off.
Exactly.
He shows up.
So he shows up, and I'm like, hey, we just launched a brand new PET scan, the vitals. And so he's like, really? I was like, okay, well, let's scan Francois. And Francois, just to kind of give a background, he's a CNI. He's a Frenchman? He's a Frenchman. He's a CNI dog. My sister and I are advocates for a blind lady.
A real French poodle.
A real French poodle.
Yeah, he was a real French poodle.
Yeah. And so anyway, he was there. So Dr. Gursky said, well, let's scan Francois. Because you knew about Francois, right? You knew his history and everything. So.
I knew his history. I had not done a physical on him.
No?
I had done a physical on him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. At the home with Catherine. Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yep. So anyway, we scanned him. But that day, we launched the PET vitals. So we scanned him, and we looked at, I gave it to him, and so I'll kind of let you take from there what you saw.
So everything that we saw on Francois' scan was really showed up lots and lots of inflammation. Pretty bad deal in his left leg. So we went, we took, and it was all the way down. You could anticipate that it was very, very progressed at this point.
Did you have an idea of what maybe the situation was, or did we already know?
Sure. I'd done a physical on him, and I knew he had cancer. He had a cancerous tumor removed once before. And the thing about these guys, if you don't get a good margin, they're going to come right back. Well, it came right back. And the vet that did it, he had it removed twice.
Twice,
right?
Yes.
So the vet had removed it twice, and it's hard to get those margins. And it was right in the elbow, so really, really tough to get those margins. So with what the scan said, I told her, I said, probably, this is pretty involved, we probably need to take the leg off. And Catherine didn't really want to take the leg off. We did some x-rays to see where the tumor was and what was going on, and it was completely involved. It went from his elbow to his toes. It was eating him up on that leg. I still felt like we could probably get the leg off. At that point, and even the scan said it probably had metastasized, but I thought we could probably take the leg off and be all right possibly, but before we could get the leg off. we
When
lost
you
him.
look at the scan, is it like? Do you recall seeing? Is it like one red marker?
No. So it's so on the vitals, it showed a lot of lymphocytes, and an exorbitant amount of lymphocytes, and lots of inflammatory cells throughout.
Okay.
So you
In the skin, there were some things on the skin.
right, and especially at the on the left elbow, it was just everything, nerves, vessels, skin.
So as you look at it, I mean, you knew this dog had cancer, obviously had tumors removed twice at this point. You, as a veterinarian, know what that looks like as far as, at least in the blood work of an animal.
Sure.
What you would see.
Sure.
How did this scanner match up with that? Because that's one of the few things, when we're talking about pets, we can be a little bit more aggressive about our conversation here. And so we were going to be.
Right. So it was spot on. It was everything that I would expect to see on from my physical. So you take every piece of medicine. You see what you got on physical. You see what you got on blood work. You see what you got on imaging, whether it's ultrasound, radiograph, MRI, whatever. And you put it all together to paint your picture of what do I have. Now that I know what I have, now how do I fix it, right? So on my physical, I thought we were probably going to need to take the leg off. Everything on the scanner showed exactly what I would expect on blood work if I was trying to convince an owner that I need to take the leg off.
Situation.
And then of course I imaged it. I took some radiographs and I was able to assess that we definitely needed to take the leg off if we had any shot at
Did the
saving
owner get to see the scan at all?
She's blind.
She's blind.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
But
Did the
when
owner
he told her about
were they
it.
made aware of the scan?
Yes.
She was.
Yeah.
Yes, she was right there with us when we scanned Francois. Yes, yeah, and he talked to her
Yeah.
about the options and
Yeah.
everything. So
What did you think? This is day one of the scanner. Scanner's just launched. Dr. Gursky just happens to be there. You run this PET scan. What were your thoughts as you are hearing this outcome?
oh, I'm doing a happy dance in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She called me that night, just so you know. She called me and she said, Kai, you're never going to guess what happened. And she went kind of play by play with what happened, what Dr. Gursky found, what the scanner read, and was like, it's already spot on. There's so much work in front of us, but it's already tied to so many points of accuracy when it comes to frequencies and the pet itself. Amazing, you guys, amazing information. What a story. What a bit of information. Now, you got a bunch of these stories, but we're going to hold you back. We're going to share these at the Day of Discovery, as well as Dr. Gursky, obviously you being such a pivotal point and a crucial part of us developing that part of the AO scan technology, that pet information. Everyone, this is the source of a great deal of knowledge. We are indebted to his openness
Yes.
for being willing and hearing and considering that there is something more to medicine with pets than just what you can see, touch, and feel.
We're just scratching it.
Yeah.
It's going to get so much better.
I
So
love
much
it.
better.
We should leave with that.
Yes.
It's going to get so much better. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We are back with Dr. Tucker. We just enjoyed having you on so much last week. So thanks for coming back and talking to us.
Glad to be here.
We have Dr. Tucker here recording for Day of Discovery. So we're, if you are in for a treat, if you are coming to our Day of Discovery virtual event on March 4th. I'm going to start you off with kind of a big one, a hard
Okay.
one. At least I think it's hard. So we had someone that actually wrote in on our Facebook page, and she's having some issues with her gallbladder, and her doctor would like to remove the gallbladder.
Okay.
She is wondering if there is something that AO can do in regards to her gallbladder, or another form of treatment that wouldn't be as invasive as surgery.
What she is really asking is, how can I use the scanner to treat my gallstones? That is her question.
That is her question.
And the answer is not appreciably. I mean, might optimization help some? Possibly. You know, might your inner voice help some? Possibly. Would we expect for the AO scan to be able to do anything to heal your gallbladder or to get rid of gallstones? And the answer is no.
You can use the AO scan technology as an educational tool to perhaps run reports day after day to find the consistencies in those reports, and then take those, any troubling symptoms or any troubling signs that you see, to a medical professional. Is that what you would suggest?
Absolutely. I think the AO scanner is fabulous to be able to show you things like persistent elevated cholesterol levels, hypertension, other things that are showing up that aren't going away, that you may or may not have symptoms from.
Right.
And I mean, you don't want to wait until you have symptoms of colon cancer to go get checked.
Right.
I mean, it's too late at that point. Yeah. So when you pick up abnormalities that are persistent on the AO scan, 3 or 4 scans and you're not really seeing any appreciable movement off of 7s, 8s, 9s, and it's staying there, then you have to consider that there's something that you need to go get checked.
Okay.
And personally, I've seen the AO scan line up with lab work that I've had. And last week we talked about that with the insurance physical that I had, and the AO scan totally shocked me.
Yeah.
So, the AO scan is a very valuable tool. There's not really anything I've ever seen before that can do what the AO scan can do. I mean, you can't go to your doctor once a week and get blood work just to make sure everything's okay.
Right.
But the scanner can give you that information.
And then when you see something troubling,
then it's time to get checked.
Right.
Now, there are some things that we know. If you are seeing signs of glucose intolerance on the AO scan, persistent lipid, cholesterol and triglyceride elevations, and you're overweight and you're sedentary and you're not working out, you're not eating well, then you might, if you're not having chest pain or any symptoms like that, you might be able to make changes on your own. You might start, pushing away from the table, eating better, eating a lot of greens, starting to work out, those kind of things to make a difference. And you will see a difference in the AO scan when you start losing weight and when you start working out. And you'll see those parameters start coming back to normal. Mm-hmm. Even so, if they're still not coming back to normal and you've lost 15 pounds and you're working out every day, it's time to go see your doctor.
Okay.
Whoever your medical professional is that you trust, go see them.
Okay, so we talked about, seeing reports that are consistent scan after scan and then going and seeing a medical professional after that. What would you say to someone who says, why is my scan this way today? And I do the same scan tomorrow and it's totally different. That doesn't make sense. Now you kind of talked about this, when your wife introduced you to AO scan and you thought, yeah, this isn't right. This isn't matching up.
Yeah.
So you kind of have experience with this, but what would you say to someone who says that?
Well, first it kind of depends on what you're seeing that that's showing up completely different in the AO scan. We talked a little bit, about the parasites. Well, it's the same for the viruses and bacteria. You have the same issues. You're going to get exposed to different things every day. Yeah. And you don't have the slightest clue, and I don't have the slightest clue what that could be. But you can see it on the AO scan. The AO scan is just giving you information. It's not telling you whether that bacteria that's showing up is making you sick or not. On some of the other things, the cholesterol levels, we know that eating a high-fat diet one day can make your triglyceride levels and your LDL levels go up. Mm-hmm. So that's one reason that doctors want you to be fasting before they draw your blood for your lipids, so that your diet won't have an appreciable change or cause an appreciable change in your blood work. I personally think that medicine as a whole is going to be found in all different modalities of healthcare, and that's Chinese medicine that's been around for 4,000 years. acupuncture, chiropractic, naturopathic doctors, energy medicine doctors. There are so many different modalities that can all come together, and each one of them has their own strengths. So if we are willing to work together and all practice our best strengths, people are going to benefit the most. People are going to be healthy. As a medical doctor, I already realize that I'm lacking. If you have an autoimmune disorder, generally there's not a lot I can do for you. But an acupuncturist or a naturopathic doctor is probably not going to be able to do much for you if you're having a heart attack or you broke your arm and need surgery. So there are good points to every different modality of medicine, no matter where it comes from. And I think if we just all work together and people accept the fact that every different modality of medical care has its own strengths and weaknesses, that they'll get the best care there.
I love that. And, I really think that just having the AO scan technology literally in our back pocket is such a blessing. We were talking earlier about blood tests and how we can't go get a blood test every week from our practitioner. It's just, that's impractical.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice?
That's right.
But what do we have instead? We can run our scanner. And
the amazing thing about the scanner is it is so much more sensitive than blood tests. I've been an ER/urgent care doctor for 32 years. And I see people all the time in my clinics who have pneumonia, strep throat, flu, all manner of infections, and their blood count is still normal. So, we can't look at a blood test and say, well, if I'm sick, it's always going to be abnormal. That's just not the case. So even if we were able to go to our doctor every week and get blood tests, which would be horrendously expensive,
yes.
and not really, unfortunately, tell us what we want.
Right.
I think the AO scanner is a huge benefit for us to be able to monitor our health. You guys talk all the time about an educational tool. It is an educational tool. It's a health tool to alarm you or alert you when something's not right. Now, everything that pops up today is not something to be alarmed about. But if that parameter, that's a 1 or a 9 or wherever we start getting concerned on the AO scan, we need to monitor that, and if it continues to come up as very low or very high functioning on the scanner, we need to take that to heart. And we need to think, well, this has been out for a month. I don't have any symptoms, but it still may be a good idea to get checked and go to my doctor and say, I have this device that is showing my lipid levels, are higher than normal. Could you just check that and make sure we don't need to do any further care? Of course, that's one of those times also that you start pushing away from the table and, back off on the bacon or whatever it is. There are a lot of things that we can do for ourselves to keep ourselves healthy, but the AO scan is not the replacement for medical care.
Right.
And that's no matter whether you get it from your functional medicine doctor, your chiropractor, your naturopathic doctor, your medical doctor, it doesn't matter. The AO scan can't replace that type of care, but it can give you a huge amount of information and alert you way ahead of what most blood tests can alert you to.
Well, and I'm thinking if you bring those scan results to your doctor and say, look, I think I need you to look at this and this, I'm thinking that doctor is going to say, hand that over. I need to have one of those. Am I right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Either that or go woo-woo,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
We're going to get that. And, I'm from Mississippi, and I won't say it's backwards, but it is a little behind. And we still have, doctors there, and it's typically orthopedic surgeons or something, and not all of them by any stretch of the imagination, but that look at chiropractors and think it's all woo-woo, when it's all voodoo. And we know that that's not the case, but there are very well-trained medical doctors out there who are very ignorant of all of the different ways that people can take care of their bodies and stay healthy.
I love that. I love that you said earlier that we can all work together, and I think that's where we're headed in the future. So
I think it's mandatory.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, thank you so much. We just appreciate having you here.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Last week and this week, next week is a lot of recording and a lot of good information, Kai.
Yeah.
All for Day of Discovery.
Yep.
So much information that's going to be invaluable to everybody that tunes in.
Yeah, we've had so many guests here that we've been recording, specialists,
Yes.
really professional folks that just know not only a lot about their field, but a lot about the scanner.
Yeah.
I think we should, so that's part of Dave Discovery, right? Part of the purpose of Dave Discovery is to come and learn. You come and learn a whole lot. Hopefully it's not a fire hose sort of experience, but if it is,
Could be.
we didn't intend it to be. We want you to learn. We just want to give you as much as we can give you. So let's make this contest this week about learning.
I like it.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
One of my favorite places to learn is books. And so what if we did something, it doesn't have to be a book, but what if we did something like this? On this call on YouTube, write down, just list your most inspirational book, your favorite book, the most recent book that you've read, or the book you're reading right now, or let's include podcasts.
Yeah.
Right?
Even a podcast. Yeah.
Title of the book, the author, podcast, the author, put all that in there, and I think we'll have some fun with this. We'll all share.
I think
right?
I think that's a great one. It's
Yeah.
all about learning.
And what are we going to give away? Dave Discovery.
We got to.
We got to give a virtual ticket to
virtual
Dave
ticket.
Discovery.
I like it. Yeah,
we
that's good.
should.
That's good.
We should, right?
That's good.
Which those tickets, by the way, are still available. The swag bag is no longer available. The virtual ticket is. So if you haven't got your ticket,
Get
we
it
have
now.
hours and hours. Get it now.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Yeah, because my heart's broken. Tammy just says I'm like the old grandfather that runs around the office.
Who said that? Tammy said that?
She says I've had the pleasure of being at corporate, and Loran is like the grandfather that just runs around.
Welcome to the next segment of Between Two Big Heads.
Not between two ferns,
Yeah,
between
not
two
between
big
two
heads.
ferns, but between two big heads. Yeah.
It's a lot of brains.
I know.
That's the deal.
That's what it is.
That's the deal. A lot of surface area going on, right?
A little bit of Dane Bramage, but that's okay.
That's true.